This is ThinkCentral Lesson 4.4 for homework, quick overview and tutorial. So what I want to do on this lesson is I'm going to use the view example and the step-by-step to show you, because it's a little bit convoluted, which is confusing. Look at the multiplication problem shown below. It is solved with another place value method called the place value rows. So I'm not sure why ThinkCentral wants us to learn all these methods, but they do. So this is place value rows. Instead of doing place value section with 4 boxes, they only give us 2 boxes here. And they're multiplying a 2-digit number by the tens and then the 2-digit number by the ones. That's the only difference in this problem. So they're asking us to complete this explanation. First, you need to multiply the blank number by the tens of the blank number. Second, you need to multiply the blank number by the ones of the blank number. Finally, blank the resulting product. So instead of doing this, I decided just to do the view example. So on the view example, here is the answer. So I think on a problem like this, because it's not really a math problem, it's more of a word problem, let's just look at what they want us to do and study it. So notice that the box, they're multiplying the second number by the tens of the first number. Notice, look at the bottom, notice that the box multiplying the second number by the ones of the first number. Finally, look at the math to the right of the box. Notice that here they're adding the resulting products, like that. Use the results to complete the explanation. So you're multiplying the, you need to multiply the second number by the tens, which is here, second number by the tens, and you also need to multiply the second number by the ones, which is here, and then you add up those numbers to get the total product. So that's all they're asking us to do, which I think they could have simply said multiply the first box and the second box and add them up. Alright, so now they give us an example to work on this. So let's do this. Let's take the 20 and split it and distribute it between 20 and 8, and we'll put 32. So the problem becomes 32 times 20 here and 32 times 8 here. Not really sure why I do this. Instead, I'd rather just do the place value section, but let's do it. So we have 32 times 20, and let's solve that. I'm going to draw my place values here. 0 times 2 is 2, 0 times 2 is 0, 0 times 3 is 0. So there's 0, 1s, and 10s there. 2 times 2 is 4 tens, so put the 4 in the tens place. 2 tens times 3 tens is 6 hundredths. So the answer is going to be 640. So that number goes in this first box here. I would check this answer using a calculator to see if 32 times 20 is 640, and it is. Now we multiply 32 times 8 to get the second box. 8 times 2, I'm going to draw my columns, is 16. I regroup the 10 up there. 8 times 3 tens is 240, plus one more 10 is 250, or 25 tens. And that is the answer there. So I put 256 here. After that, I add them up, and I get 869. And again, I check it with a calculator. So for problem 3, they're asking us to look at a different way. This is the shortcut method. This is the more traditional multiplication that your parents are probably familiar with. You multiply the ones times the ones, regroup the ones times the tens, add the regroup, that's here. The tens times the ones, or you put a 0 to hold the place value. Tens times ones here, tens times tens here, add them up here, you get the answer. New group below is another strategy. Basically, instead of regrouping up top like here, you put the regroup down below here. I've never done it this way, but they show that. So this is the traditional shortcut method. Again, instead of doing the problem like this, I went ahead and clicked on the view example to find out to study the problem. Okay, and here is our studying of the problem, just like this. So go ahead and just read this to understand what you're supposed to be doing, basically it's just multiplying. Miss Carlson calls this the sprinkler math method. You're going ones by ones, ones times tens, so it's and then tens times ones, and tens times tens, so it's like a sprinkler shooting off like that. So sprinkler method. Just don't forget to regroup either above or regroup new groups below. In problem number 4, they're asking us to focus on the distributive property, which is basically dividing it, breaking it apart. I call it the break apart property. Breaking apart into here, you have 40 and 43, and you turn it into 40 and plus 3. Breaking apart 40 into tens and ones. And then you distribute those. You say 67 times 40 and 67 times 3. And then you do each of those parts and you get your product. So in this case, you're going to distribute the 48. You're going to say 48 is the same as 40 plus 8. So you're going to multiply 52 times 40 and 52 times 8. And then you figure that out and you write your products here in these boxes, add them together, and that is your product. These are your partial products, and that's your complete product. So you distribute the 48 into 40 and 8. You multiply 52 times 40 to get that. You multiply 52 times 8 to get 416. And then you add up 2,080 plus 416 to get 2,496. And that is the distributive property using the shortcut method or the place value rows method. In this problem, they're asking us to compare the different methods of multiplying numbers. You have the place value section, you have the expanded notation, place value rows, and shortcut. So what are the possibilities with these 4 different ways of multiplying? Is it possible to start with the ones using the place value rows? Well, place value rows here. I don't think you start with the ones here because you're not multiplying ones by ones. You're multiplying one number by one. So no, I don't think it's possible to start with the ones. Is it possible to start with the ones using any method because each method uses partial sums? Maybe. I'm going to have to rethink this one here. Is it possible to start with the ones using the place value rows? Is it possible to start with the ones using place value rows and expanded notation because they use partial sums, but the place value section does not? Well, place value section does use partial rows, so I don't think this counts. It is possible to start with the ones using the place value section, yes, and the expanded notation, yes, because they use partial sums. I think D is the correct answer because I don't think you start with the ones. I think you only start with the ones here. When you multiply, you could do ones times ones, and over here you could do ones times ones. And of course over here you can do 1 times 1. So I don't think place value rows starts with the ones. But again, I don't think this problem is really that valid. I think you should just look at the view example and find out what they want you to know. Alright, before you go on to the next page shows the answer, and it turns out I was wrong. The answer is it is possible to start with the ones in any method that uses partial products. I was confused because I didn't think this was starting with the ones, but I guess you're multiplying part of the number by 1. So the answer is B for that problem. Alright, like I just said, let's find out what they want us to know. So, this is the answer. This is the ThinkCentral answer to that problem. So let's find out. First, consider the place value section method. Notice that this method breaks the factors into tens and ones. So place value section is tens and ones. Look at each box of this method. Do the ones get multiplied separately? The ones do get multiplied separately. So that's true. Since the ones get multiplied separately in the bottom right box, it is possible to start with the ones in the place value section. Now look at expanded notation. again, notice that this method breaks the factors into tens and ones. So you can multiply the ones. The ones do get multiplied separately. Since the ones get multiplied separately in the last line of math, it is possible to start with the ones using the expanded method. So yes for this and yes for this. Look at the place value rows and notice that this method breaks the first factor into tens and ones. In the top box, the tens of the first factor are multiplied by the ones and tens in the second box. In the bottom box, the ones factor are multiplied by the tens and ones in the second factor. If you were starting at the bottom box, could you begin multiplying by the ones? Oh, it's saying you can multiply by the ones. So, therefore, it's possible to start with the ones in the place value rows. So, I guess I was wrong. All of them you can start with the ones in the place value in any place value model. All right, let's get to it. Any method possible. Since they're letting us use any method possible, I'm going to do place value section. I'm going to split it into 60 and 5. I'm going to split it into 30 and 5. I'm going to go 30 times 60. 3 and 6 are the leading numbers. 2 zeros, 1,800. 5 times 30, 15 with a 0. 60 times 5 is 30 with one more 0. 5 times 5 is 25. So I'm going to add these up. I'm going to get 1,950 and I'm going to get 325, and the answer is going to be 5, 7, 2, regroup that, 2,275. That's going to be my product. All right, any method possible. So I'm just going to go sprinkler math on this. I'm going to multiply. First, I'm going to draw my columns. Super important. I draw my columns. Multiply the ones times the ones, giving me 15. Regroup the tens. 5 times 0 is 0, plus the 1 is 1. 5 times 8 is 40, or 4,000, because that's 5 times 800. That's it. So the answer is 4,015. So I'll try a different method here. I'm going to do the two-column section, the two-section model, 29 times 20. Well, 2 times 29 is going to be 58, plus a 0, so 580. And 29 times 6, I'm going to have to do that off to the side. 29 times 6 is 54, 12, 17, 174. So I did partial products, 20 times 29 and 6 times 29, and I get the product is going to be 5, 6, 7, 754. I would check it with a calculator to see if I got it right, or ask Alexa. All right, these are just more practice problems. 43 times 43. I'm going to go shortcut method. 43 times 43. Let's sprinkler it up. 9, 12, place value holder, 12, regroup above, 16, 17, 9, 4, 8, 1, 1, 8, 4, 9. Check it with a calculator before you move on. Alright, finally got a word problem here. Monique wants to cover a watercolor painting with glass. So, first thing I'm going to do is going to draw what appears to be a watercolor painting. Here we go. It's a tree. I'm going to draw a tree here. There's a tree and a sunshine. There you go. Nice watercolor. The painting is 22 inches long by 37 inches wide. Okay, 22 by 37. What is the area of the glass? I'm going to multiply 22 by 37. And again, I'm going to shortcut method because that's what I'm used to, but place value section is also really good. 7 ones times 2 ones is 14 ones, which means 110 regroup. 7 ones times 20 is 140, plus 1 is 150. Nothing there. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6. So the answer is going to be 4, 1, regroup that, 8. 814 square inches of the area. Alright, that's all for ThinkCentral 4.4. It's really just about practicing. The more you practice, the easier it gets. I'd come up with your top 2, shortcut method, place value section, whatever works best for you. You're just doing the multiplication, and it's just an algorithm. So I think that whatever you're most comfortable with is perfectly fine. But it's also good to understand other different methods for multiplying.